In light of recent events, some folks were asking what's going on with the tower closures at Chicago's Midway Airport and over at Las Vegas, McCarran Field. Uncontrolled Unicom airport procedures is what's going on. Let me give you a little bit more explanation. Because traffic is so light at these airports right now, shutting down the tower does not represent a major safety hazard because there's simply not that many aircraft operating on the field. Once the tower gets shut down, the aircraft can do uncontrolled airport procedures, which most general aviation aircraft that work out of Unicom controlled or uncontrolled airports, like Nevada County Airport, our local airport here, we're very used to it, but airline pilots, they may have not worked out of an uncontrolled airport for years, so they're very unused to it. Let's see what Victor captured over in VASAviation, and then I'll explain this airspace here in a second. First, let's take a look at the sectional chart, something most airline pilots never look at because airline pilots are IFR all the time, and a sectional chart shows you where all the airspace is for VFR, visual flight rules. And here over McCarran, Las Vegas, we see a red circle indicating a temporary flight restriction. Click on that and it indicates that the tower is closed at Las Vegas. And then we got to dig through all these NOTAMs for McCarran Airport all the way down to here. Tower closed, contact Las Vegas approach control on 125.9. Common traffic advisory frequency, that's your new Unicom frequency, 119.9, or call them on this telephone number to get your IFR clearance, your instrument flight clearance, flight rules clearance before you blast off. This is all new to airline pilots that have not been flying smaller aircraft for a long time. So now let's go see how this plays out on VASAviation. It's got a good capture here.
Central aircraft has a 0445 Zulu. Las Vegas Tower is closed until further notice. For further services, contact Las Vegas approach and departure control on 125.9.
This is the pre-recorded message, ATIS, Terminal Information Service.
Thanks, 1414.
1414, go ahead, sir.
Hey, are you guys the ones to talk to about getting out taxi clearance and getting out to the runway and takeoff?
No.
Well, we'll be a taxi clearance for an uncontrolled airport now. As far as I know, we're trying to get to ramp control to let them know that.
So they need to switch over to Unicom and just get their own clearance. And you just report your position.
Give you heads up when we're ready to push or when we're ready to taxi.
So ramp control should still be open for pushing, and as far as taxi, we don't control the taxi. It's ATC 0 at the tower. It's an uncontrolled airport.
Okay, then we'll just taxi out to 26 right and then talk to you once they're airborne.
No, you still, if you're departing the IFR, you need to get a clearance and a release time from us, and you can do that on this frequency.
Okay, we'll do that as we taxi out then. Thanks.
So they just do Unicom procedures. They just announce their position in the blind and tell them that they're taxiing out, and then before they blast off, though, they got to get a hold of departure control and get an IFR clearance into the IFR airspace, because this is now Class E airspace to, what, 3,000 feet? And they're going to want to jump into Class B airspace real quick. So they got to have an IFR clearance to do that. I'll show you here on the other chart. They got to have an IFR clearance to get from out of this circle into this circle. So they can either call them on that departure frequency or the telephone, and they'll give them an IFR clearance with a clearance if not off void time of so many minutes, 5 or 10 minutes, and it'll be the same IFR clearance they get when they normally blast off. It'll just have that additional time constraint to it that they need to take off within that time constraint, because these controllers are clearing the air traffic in the area here in anticipation of their departure and coming IFR into their controlled airspace. Where was I? Not those guys. That's tomorrow. So to recap, the tower was closed, the airspace was changed from Class D to Class E Echo airspace, all the way down to the surface, and the tower was turned into basically a uncontrolled airport on a common frequency, CTAF. On a common CTAF frequency, the pilots just announce in the blind. They talk to each other basically, and since there's so little traffic, it doesn't hardly matter. And they just tell each other, well, I'm here and I'm taxiing over to there, and then they coordinate to get their IFR clearance on a different channel. This is where it's good to have two pilots for this. So one pilot is listening to the local CTAF frequency and getting a heads up of who's in the pattern and who's coming into land or who's blasting off, who might be a problem, while the other pilot coordinates to get his IFR clearance with departure control. He gets that departure clearance with a clearance void time, if not off by time. And then everybody gets back onto the common traffic frequency, the CTAF, the Unicom frequency, and then announces their blast off, and they visually look around, make sure nobody's coming, and then take off down the runway, and then switch over to the departure frequency. They're ready to accept them. They've got them on the radar, and off they go on their IFR flight plan. So a little bit different procedures for airline pilots that aren't used to general aviation flying. For all you GA guys and freight dogs and folks that have been operating out of uncontrolled airports, IFR operations, it's all very familiar to you. Again, with the lack of traffic, it's not a problem. That's it. See you here.